Inflation, your savings' biggest enemy, and here's how to beat it. Meet Sharma ji. He loves his morning walks and never forgets to drink his favorite masala chai at the street corner. He's been drinking chai at the same chaiwala since 1980. No wonder he proudly regales stories of how the tea was sold at just ₹2 when he first started drinking tea at the shop. Of course, how over the years the price of chai has risen and the cup has shrunk, thanks to inflation. So, what is inflation? Inflation, in simple words, refers to the rise in the price of products and services over time. It affects every aspect of life: food, clothing, education, homes, travel, healthcare, gadgets, etc. For instance, if your monthly expense for groceries, maintenance bills and leisure is about ₹30,000 in 2020, it won't be enough to meet the expenses 5 years from now. So, if we assume a 7% rate of inflation, you will need about ₹42,000 in 2025, ₹59,000 in 2030 and ₹1,16,000 in 2040. But before you brush this aside with the simple logic that prices tend to rise over time, consider this. Is your income increasing at the same rate, if not faster? Yes? No? Sometimes? If your answer is a no or sometimes, then unlike Sharma ji, you won't be able to indulge in your favorites the same way. You will soon be faced with serious questions. What will I have to give up to prevent going into debt? How will rising costs change my lifestyle? And if these issues occur while you still have a job, can you even imagine the struggle after you retire, especially if you rely solely on what you save? Inflation can be your savings' biggest enemy, but it doesn't need to. Be like Sharma ji, who managed inflation by choosing investment solutions that potentially offered higher returns. He wasn't a financial wizard. He didn't do any investment mumbo-jumbo. All it took was a little planning and some discipline. He invested a small amount every month throughout his career in investment options that returned more than the rate of inflation. Some SIPs in mutual fund schemes, asset allocation moves, and voila! You, like Sharma ji, can enjoy your chai throughout your life. You may consult your investment advisor to make sure your investments grow faster than the rate of inflation. An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
For over 140 years, we have partnered India's growth story. A journey with humble beginnings, marked by a meeting of few traders, is today symbolized by a tower that stands for India's glowing financial markets. BSC. Experience the new.
Hello and welcome to the Kolkata semi-final of BL On Campus Boardroom Challenge 2022. I am Srimati Sridharan. BLoC Boardroom Challenge, a unique competition for B scholars, has 3 levels: a preliminary round, a semi-finals across 8 cities and a grand finale. The online tests in the prelims assessed students' decision-making skills and ability to work in teams. Now in the semi-finals, the students will get a chance to meet and compete with the best minds from top B schools across the country and present these strategies. And the teams that make it to the finals will showcase these skills by solving a live corporate case. Now without further ado, let's jump right into the semi-finals. I request Mr. Vinay Kamath, Senior Associate Editor at the Hindu Businessline and Editor of BLoC, to take over.
Welcome all to the BLoC Boardroom Challenge 2022. The unique case challenge for B schoolers is in its 6th year. In the first year of the challenge in 2017, Liba Chennai was the winner, followed by ISB Hyderabad in 2018 and IIM Ranchi in 2019. SIBM Pune won the contest in 2020, while IIM Shillong won it in 2021. Till the 2019 edition, the semi-final rounds of the contest was held in 8 cities at B schools which hosted the event. The preliminary round in all the previous years has always been online, where students are administered a psychometric test to assess their decision-making skills and ability to work in teams. The grand finale, where B schools which won city-specific semi-finals competed for the grand prize, has been held in Chennai. From the year 2020, keeping in mind the safety of the students and others involved in this contest during the pandemic, it has been conducted entirely online, including the semi-final rounds and the finals as well. This year too, we are conducting the event online. Semi-finals case will test the participating teams on the knowledge of finance, marketing and strategy, and the decision-making skills and ability to work in teams, while the case for the finals will test the teams on the knowledge of the financial sector. It will again be a unique event with technology overcoming the challenge the pandemic has brought about. May the best team win the 2022 BLoC Boardroom Challenge.
Thank you, Mr. Vinay Kamath, for the lovely introduction. I now invite Ms. Akshaya Chandrasekharan to introduce the jury.
K.S. Rao is the Senior Vice President and Head, Investor Education and Distribution Development, Aditya Birla Sun Life AMC Limited. Led by his passion for financial literacy, Mr. Rao conceptualized and introduced many of the now successful programs such as Nivesh Mahakumbh, a mass investor education initiative, Fauji Nivesh, a customized workshop for defense personnel, Nivesh Pathshala, amongst others. He was also instrumental in introducing digital initiatives such as Investors Hangout, Friday Finance, Mutually Yours Podcast, Smart Selfie and Mutual Fund Assist, as well as developing unique modules such as My First Paycheck, My First Finance Lesson, amongst others. Under his leadership, Samriddhi, the AMC's in-house magazine for train passengers, was launched and has since reached out to more than 50 lakh readers. He is an alumnus of IIM Calcutta and holds an MBA in finance. He is a certified chartered wealth manager from American Academy of Financial Management and holds postgraduate diplomas in portfolio management and international business. He is also a certified coach from NLI. Vishwadeep Koila is the founder director at Brand Vectors and comes with more than 2 decades of experience in the areas of advertising and communication and FMCG marketing. He is an engineer and a PGDM from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. Before starting Brand Vectors, he has worked with BBDO, Lintas and Mudra Communications in client servicing and account planning and has handled a host of clients like Ponds, Fun School, Shaw Wallace, Henkel, Ashok Leyland, besides a host of retail clients. After his stint in advertising, he had a long association with Reynolds for over 12 years where he played a pivotal role in shaping the brand to become a household name in the writing instruments and stationery category. As his last assignment before starting Brand Vectors, he was the CEO of Oriental Cuisines Private Limited, a private equity-funded restaurants and bakery and cafe company on expansion mode. He brings to table immense experience in all areas of marketing with a sense of business objectives owing to his stints as CEO and president in various organizations.
Thank you, Akshaya. Let us introduce the case study the teams will be tackling. What should be the growth strategy for Environmental Technologies Private Limited? As senior strategy consultants, chart a 5-year path for Envirotech, suggesting what kind of markets, products and investors will help the company maximize stakeholder value. The teams will be marked for 50 points by each jury member. The team with the highest total wins. Here goes the breakup. Understanding of case, 10 points. Case analysis, 15 points. Solution, 10 points. Presentation, 10 points. And teamwork, 5 points. I now invite team 1 to present their case solution.
Hi, jury members. So we are Himanshu and I. We are team Dream Catchers, and we are here to present a solution for the case for this case study. So starting about a brief introduction about the company. So Environmental Technologies was started by 3 founders and is currently working under 3 main verticals: textile, pulp and paper, and cleaners. And they focus on bringing sustainability into their operations. Starting with the textile vertical. The company was known as the textile product company for a fair amount of time. And the textile chemicals market is a highly competitive due to very low differentiation and because of the price sensitivity of the end product. And the large part of the margins in this industry goes to the middlemen and the distribution channels. For the same, the company can transform its operations digitally and start delivering value added services beyond the product distribution. And in the end, can collaborate directly with the export oriented mills. For digitally transformation, they can start with omni-channel experiences like website, mobile, and in-store, and easy access to where they can give an easy access to the product information and online ordering. While delivering value added services beyond the product distribution, we want to say that they can provide different services such as credit financing, inventory management, and product expertise. And also, they can directly collaborate with the export oriented mills so that they can cut out the middlemen, and hence they can get and hence the problem that they are getting and the problem they're getting in their operations can be solved. The next is the paper and the pulp vertical, which was started in mid 2018 with its first product as Booster. It caters to the writing and printing paper mills, the recycled paper mills, and the packaging brown paper mills. So the three main pain point in this sector that we found were a slow adoption cycle. Unlike other verticals, the chemical supplier is responsible for investing in all the assets such as dosing tanks and pumps and also full-time operators. And the third one is the marketing strategies for this vertical. So for adoption cycle, we are coming up with the digital transformation just like the previous vertical. And for dosing tanks and operators, what we are suggesting is that instead of investing money in barrels and source this to some other company, and we can and hence this work can be done at a very low cost, which can reduce labor cost, and hence it can be done in a very efficient way. The third is B2B marketing strategies for the same. So to build reliability, we can launch a blog and vlog series to maintain the transparency about the product. We can be totally honest and open about how our product is so much sustainable as compared to the other products, and educate the customers about the materials, which are other businesses only. The second is the digital presence through a website and applications where customer portals can give their orders, reorders, and they can give their feedbacks with 24/7 access across all the devices. For both the verticals, what we are suggesting over here is a blockchain integration for the smooth operations and fasten the adopting cycle. The blockchain makes global supply chain more efficient by allowing companies to completely transaction directly and without any interference from the third parties. It also facilitates increased integration of financial and logistic services, enabling greater data collaboration between the stakeholders. It also allows real-time tracking of a product within the supply chain without the involvement of any intermediaries, and the cost of moving items can be reduced. So this is an example of how the blockchain technologies can be used in this service. Like, we can make a unique ID of raw data, and we can use blockchain to integrate all these different inbounds and outbounds of raw material, and then this one, the how we can source the chemical and then outbound the same.
Now, into the product adoption cycle, the product or adoption cycle for textile chemicals is 2 months, and for the paper and pulp chemicals is 4 to 6 months. This is longer than the industry average. To decrease the adoption cycle, we would like to suggest to build a mobile application or website to promote our product of textile chemicals and paper and pulp. The application will help to reduce the adoption cycle from contact to consumer order by increasing the footfall of customers, as customers will be able to check reviews and view our product brochure on one click. There will also be a chatbot to resolve queries instantly and feedback reports to increase the customer confidence in our products. For our next slide. Consumer product vertical, we are planning to get in partnership with the hospitals and providing them a cleaning product at subsidized rate in order to promote our products. Secondly, we will build transparency, which will further help us to build credibility and trust with the employees, stakeholders, and customer alike. Further, on e-commerce platform, we can persuade prospective customers to purchase ancillary products. Mapping out customer journey help us identify the best touch points for repeat interaction and cross sales. Next slide. Uh, at last, at last, we are also planning to collaborate with the offline stores instead of opening the exclusive stores in order to reduce our fixed costs. As opening the exclusive store will require a large amount of investment and hence increase the cost for the company. So instead of investing in such opening exclusive stores, we would like to invest in a blockchain technology and in promoting a website and building an application for the same. Next slide. Now coming to the financial analysis and the projection, in order to achieve the company objective and target, which is to reach the EBITDA of 300 crore by 2027, we have decided to not to enter into various geographies for textile chemicals, including China, Vietnam and Cambodia, Malaysia, Indonesia and Philippines and others, as the proportion of fixed cost and the cost of entry into the market proportion to the addressable market is much greater when compared to the other geographies. For example, in order to enter into the China, our fixed cost will come around 5 crore rupees for the year 2000 for the projected year 2023. However, the revenue for the same year will be insignificant compared to the total revenue. This will slow down our time period to achieve a financial target. Next slide. Similarly, for paper and pulp market, we have decided to not to enter into geographies including China, America, and others, as proportion of the fixed cost is very high when compared to the other geographies. At last, next slide. At last, in a financial projection, after considering all the assumptions, we were able to achieve our target, and our reported EBITDA for the year 2027 is 328 crore, and there will be no further stake dilution as we have assumed to raise fund for a capital expenditure in the form of debt in order to maintain the liquidity. And since we have also taken all the important assumptions, including the promotion cost, including the manpower cost, and we have considered the revenue from different segments, including the textile, chemicals, pulp and paper, consumer products, where we can see a phenomenal growth of around 100% and 200% for the projected year 2024, because we were able to remove some of the geographies like China and Vietnam. So our fixed costs have also reduced drastically for the year 2023 and 2024. That's why even our cash flows were in positive for the projected years, and our EBITDA is around 18.19 crore for the year 2023 and is around 327 crore for the year 2027. Thank you.
Mr. Rao, you could go first.
Yeah, I think it looks better. Finance, you can have at the end, then we will. That's nice. Right. Thanks, Himanshu and Shreya, for first compliments is on the broad presentation and structure, and it's good. And of course, you may get good feedback from Vishwadeep ji for on the case presentations. Probably one of his master classes shared by Vinay ji earlier. Hope you would have read. If not, if you have seen, if you have not seen, probably after this you can have time to do. And I compliment on the presentation and the way you covered. But couple of things. There are 5 questions which were asked for you to run through this case study. It is not exactly the normal case study. This is very different. And one of them could be on the how we can get the investment at this point of time. It's can the company look for the financial investors today or the show? What could be the strategies? Have you discussed that during your preparation? Probably you would have missed at the time of presentation.
Yes, sir. Like in the case study, it was mentioned that there should not be the first stake dilution, as the investors are also looking for we are looking for the further investors. So when I was projecting for the year 2023, from the year 2023 till 2027, what I was finding that our cash flow was quite strong, since we were able to enter into various geographies. So our unlevered free cash flow to the firm was around 12 crore. So instead of the stake dilution, our recommendation was to raise fund in the form of debt, because we will be able to pay the interest expenses, and this will help us to control a stake dilution in form of the employee stock option, and in form of the raising investment from the fund. Also, if we are planning to raise money in the form of debt, so while we are focusing on the consumer product vertical, that during the time of the IPO, it will also help us, because since the stake dilution will not that be high, so it will also help us to it will all it will be good for the company during the IPO. So that's
Yeah.
what we have thought.
Thanks, Manshu. I think, in the process of your conversation now, you are mentioning about, since we are focusing on the consumer products, is there is a merit if we have to look for the industrial products also?
Sir, as of now, what we have thought that, like it was mentioned in the case, that the simply while entering into the Indian market, we were not able to fully exhaust all our potential resources. So right now we were thinking that our focus should be only on the consumer product vertical rather than on industrial product vertical, because we should be fully utilizing our resources in that segment. And after like comparing all the computer analysis, after doing all the computer analysis, then only we should try to enter into a new segment. Right now, if we will try to enter in each and every segment, that will I don't think that will work in favor for us.
This is the last question. Thank you for that two answers. This is on the broader question which is started in the beginning, the objectives of the company. I mean, the EBITDA of what we intend to achieve by 2027. Will that be achievable goal, or you put an Excel sheet very nicely, but do you feel it's if you are joining on the board of the company, is it achievable?
Yes, sir. I think it's achievable because of the strong cash flow. And since there were few data points mentioned into the case study where we were entering into the various geographies, but while I mentioned in my presentation, for China, Vietnam, Malaysia, they were comparatively the fixed cost was very high. So if we are what I have done earlier, what I have assumed that I will enter in each and every geography. So while I was doing that, my unlevered free cash flow to the firm was negative. It was going negative because due to the high cost. Although the revenue proportion from those geographies as compared to the total revenue proportion was not that high. So that made me feel that we should not enter into those markets because the addressable market is very low, and apart the revenue will not that be high. So instead of entering into those markets, we focus on other areas. So in that way, we were able to focus especially on high addressable market, and we will be able to increase on sales. So that will help us to strongly build our cash flow and achieve the target. So I strongly feel that is achievable.
Okay, great, Himanshu, and thanks for all those answers. And probably one suggestion I do have is it's a wonderful work you have done around, and probably if you have gone precise those 5 things what is been asked, if you have come with those solutions, that would have been much more easier. Anyway, you're prepared for it. It is not only that you have not put it in the presentation. It's a good, and all the good luck to you. And over to Vinay ji.
So good, approach of looking at something differently, starting to look at whether logistics and maybe the middleman removal can help. But there wasn't enough information in the case for you to do a very, I would say, foolproof analysis whether that works or what is required to actually make that the key focus strategy for the entire case. However, coming back to the so I would if I were to solve this case, that would be a bonus for me, but that won't be a key strategy for that case. The key strategy in the case as it looks like it. So as I said, removing middlemen and the logistics is only one part of the strategy, but one of the key thing which the company is today facing is that they want to reach a certain target. They didn't have funds. They have to make choice between various verticals, geographies, investor types, and those. I mean, that's where possible more analysis would have been important. But I saw your financial analysis. I think somewhere some few small
lines, important lines you missed out, where the case clearly states that the company has just gone EBITDA positive, and therefore there are very few scope of getting debt. Very few options of getting debt. So taking this much of debt obviously is going to be difficult for the company. So that's something which would have possibly been, that was purposely that line was put in, because the easiest solution is to say debt, and then it makes it all very easy. But when you have to balance between equity and not to dilute below a certain portion, that's where you will know whether this comes in or not, the objective gets met or not. So in my view, if you look at it, if you consider that, then you will not meet the objective. The company will not meet the objective. It will possibly meet about 60-70% of the objective, but that's the best that it can do given the constraints that is given currently. And however, even that happens only if they are in all the three verticals. And you rightly pointed out that there are some countries where we don't need to go, which is like China and Europe and some of the Americas and other places where your proportion of fixed cost is so high that it doesn't make sense to be in there. So that's a right understanding and analysis. But there were some other countries which initially 1 or 2 years they are not very lucrative, but then they pick up and they become. So if you have to meet your objective at the 2027, you will have to go into those countries and initially burn a bit of money for you to reach the objective. Otherwise, you'll end up ending up in a very low turnover. So maybe a little bit more deeper into understanding what the numbers were would have given you, but at the same, you all have crunched the numbers. I think some of the key assumptions, because you made that you can go with the debt, so it kind of changed the analysis a lot. Otherwise, it would have been, you would have had a very interesting way of trying to balance how you balance the two. Okay, Vinay, up to you.
Yeah. So, team, do you recommend entire growth strategy based on debt, or would you at one stage look at, as the case mentions, calling in a financial or a strategic investor?
Sir, I'm sorry, I didn't get a question. Like how we are planning to raise our money through debt. That's what.
No. Do you look at a growth strategy purely on debt, or would you look at inviting in a strategic or financial investor?
Sir, in our case, we have looked at purely through debt.
Okay.
So that could be a very expensive option.
Sir, definitely, but since like earlier when we were doing the financial analysis, we were not thinking that much about that. But after seeing the strong cash flow, we started thinking out, like, if we are having that much good cash flow. So that was all based on the assumptions. Since it was rightly pointed out, the other assumptions could go wrong, and it differ for optimistic and pessimistic. So yeah, we could have make choice between different options, but like since the cash flow was that strong, that's why we have opted to go purely for that.
And growth for the company would be purely in the industrial products, or do you recommend consumer products foray, which will go parallelly along with the industrial products? What do you recommend?
Sir, we would recommend the consumer products, which will go parallelly with the industry products.
Okay. And you expect that to be a higher margin business?
Sir, because the thing is that since it was mentioned in the case, like that for the textile chemicals, particularly for textile chemicals, it was very hard to differentiate between the product, and since the adoption cycle is quite high. So for that, what we have done the research, like none of the company who's providing the textile chemicals have their own website or have their own application through which the different industries can place their order. So since what if they will build their application, build their website, they can check out the customer reviews and check customer feedback as well on their application and product, which will not only help them to differentiate, which will also help them to build their marketing strategy around. Similarly, for the another pulp and paper chemical, because it's very hard to market such type of chemical products. So building and differentiate, like if you are able to differentiate from the product from the competitors, it will help them to market, and it will help them to like charge extra, and that will help them to earn like higher margin. Apart from that, we have give some suggestion, like in order to reduce the cost, like instead of investing in all of the assets like tank and all, like and hiring the operators like go on the regular basis, they can go for IFR, they can hire the contact employees to go for that, so that will also help them to reduce their cost.
Right. Good. So thank you. Uh, so have you both come into B school with some work ex, or have you joined just after graduation?
So I have an experience of 2 years with the EdTech.
Okay.
EdTech, okay.
What about Shreya?
I've worked with Wipro Limited before this for 2 years.
Okay. Where, in Bangalore?
So for the initial 2-3 months, I was in Bangalore and then later in Pune.
Good.
Okay.
Right. So all the best for your careers.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for
Good luck. All the best.
Yeah.
all the best.
Thank you, Team 1. We have a special education AV from Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund.
Life is like cricket. When you get thrown a googly, how you bat is the difference between hitting a 6 and getting out. A simple example of a googly in life is your laptop crashing while you're working on an important business presentation. If you're smart and prepared, you should have your files backed up on the cloud and should recover from this loss quickly. If you are not prepared, you will have lost years of work. A complicated googly is the 2020 pandemic that shut the world down and disrupted businesses and economies globally. If you already had an online business module or quickly added one, you continued to work like normal. If you didn't, you probably struggled. As organizations, as employees, we try to plan for unexpected situations that could disrupt work. But as an individual, are you prepared to handle googlies like a medical emergency, a natural disaster, a recession, or another pandemic without draining your savings and generating a mountain of debt? If your answer is no, then it is time to set up a contingency fund that can handle life's googlies. What is a contingency fund? Like the name suggests, it is a fund that may help you survive in an emergency. A contingency fund may give you breathing room if your salary isn't paid or if you lose your job. You may not be stumped on how to pay your child's school fees, utility bill and EMI, or worse, if you can put food on the table. How does a contingency fund help in these situations? Well, a good contingency fund is seeded with 6 to 9 months' salary. Do not panic. Yes, that's a lot of money. But you don't need to have it today. You will accumulate it slowly over time. All you have to do is stay committed and only use the fund for true emergencies. This means no spending it to upgrade your phone when it still works or using it to fund that spontaneous friend's trip. How to create a contingency fund? Think of a contingency fund as a systematic investment for unexpected situations. Step 1. Set up a contingency fund account. It can be a savings account, a liquid fund account, or any other type. Just make sure it is relatively safe, easy to access, and separate from your regular savings account. After all, you don't want to spend it accidentally. Step 2. Set achievable targets. When you are playing a match, you don't reach 400 runs on the first ball or even the first over. You keep your team motivated by setting smaller targets that will help you achieve the desired outcome. Similarly, set yourself smaller targets. Once you reach it, raise the bar higher until you have collected at least 6 months' salary. Step 3. Make your contingency fund a part of your financial plan. Analyze your existing income and expenses and find areas which can be tightened to give you a winning outcome. This should ensure you aren't struggling or forgetting to meet your targets every month. Step 4. Set up an automatic systematic contingency fund process. Start an auto debit to transfer your budgeted amount into your contingency fund account. Remember to increase the amount as your salary and expenses grow. Step 5. Replenish your systematic contingency fund. Every time you dip into your contingency fund, make sure you replenish it. This will ensure you are financially prepared to take on the next emergency, if any. Follow these steps with an aim to build a fund that could sustain your quality of life during an emergency. Start today and aim to be prepared to manage any googly that life may bring. An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
I invite Team 2 to present their case solution.
Hello, judges. Good afternoon, and I think it's good morning yet. So before starting off, I'll just like to ask one question. How many times have we come across this term sustainability, not having an understanding of what it actually takes to implement a sustainability project? I have personally come across it a lot of times, and so have my teammates. I am Devajyoti, and I'm the Chief Strategy Officer. Along with me, I have Kushankur, who is the Chief Financial Officer, and Varun, who is the Chief Executive Officer. And we'll be moving ahead towards our presentation. So before we start off, we'll just like to have a quick glance of our industry. And since our company has three verticals, textile, pulp and paper, and consumer, we'll go through each of them. So in all the three markets, we are growing at a CAGR of quite high, which is much higher than the market average. Especially for pulp and consumers, we are growing at 3.6x and 2.5x respectively. But we'll be going through the key market drivers. So GDP is obviously one of the major drivers in the textile industry, along with sustainability, which has come up, let's say, in the past decade in a huge way. Also technology. Apart from that, in the pulp and paper, we have raw materials and the doing away of plastic and the water products. In consumer products, we also have GDP, competitors, and also the channels through which the consumer products are targeted. I'll be moving on to the challenges and how we'll be addressing them. So for the textile vertical, we'll be trying to focus on the Indian market. We'll be looking at sustainability certifications and sustainable, like circular business model that can, talk about sustainability and how our company is implementing sustainability. For pulp and paper, we'll be looking towards diversifying ourselves because there's a buyer side risk. Also, we'll be looking at insurance of our products so that, performance-based acceptance of orders, in case our orders don't get accepted, we have a contract in place for compensation. For consumer side, we'll be looking at data-based honest advertising and also inculcating sustainability as a company culture. So I'll be moving on for what the consumers are actually looking for. So since we have two parts, B2B and B2C, the B2B majorly looks at whether we are consistent with our products, whether we have the upscaling potential, whether we can keep our costs low, and whether if we are sustainable in our value chain. So we can deliver these values through, expanding our production, creating a robust supply chain, and also looking for certifications around sustainability. For consumers, we thought of the major thing should be differentiation of our products. So we came across one interesting idea. Let's say we sell a unit of our product through, let's say, any Reliance Fresh or anything. Along with that, we supply one bag that carries our product. A consumer can use that bag not just for our product and also some other product that he might be purchasing. And moreover, we can even use our paper and pulp industry to gain a synergy aspect in order to create these bags. So this is something we came across, and this would also lead to consumers as acting as influencers to increase the word of mouth marketing. We also thought of social media campaigns in housing societies and setting up kiosks because that is our target audience across cities. Apart from that, we need to focus on the green focused sustainable logo and brand colors and also to showcase our impact. Moving ahead, we'll be moving towards the expansion strategy and investment, which Kushankar will be taking over. Thank you.
So first, we'll try to look at whether ETPL can expand its textile division to other countries outside of India. So if we take a quick glance at the graph on the bottom left of our screen, we can see that the net profit of the majority of the regions that have been given in the case are negative. If we calculate the aggregate profit over the 5 years, over the 5-year tenure, the majority of the countries have a negative net profit. So it does not make sense to enter these markets. The only market that makes sense, which has a positive aggregate net profit, is Pakistan and Turkey. So so we have decided to enter the Pakistan and Turkey market alongside expanding our operations in the Indian market from 2023 onwards. Devjit, can you move to the next slide? Right. So investments required. So looking at the investments that would be required for this kind of expansion. Now it's given in the case that the product adoption cycle is 2 months. So to keep a buffer, from the point of contact to sale, the time required is 2 months. So we would need cash equivalent to 2 months to sustain our operation. So we have divided the yearly cost by a factor of 2, by a factor of 6 to keep a buffer of 2 months in order to sustain our operations. So the investment required would be the total cost divided by 6 minus the profit that was profit that was accrued during the last year, because this profit can be reinvested towards our investments. Now, manpower cost is considered to be a part of the fixed cost. The INR USD rate is considered to be 80, and it is also assumed that that trade relations with Pakistan and Turkey are void of any bilateral sanctions or anything else. So, growth strategy for the textile products division is expand in India and set up foreign export routes in Pakistan and Turkey. Can we move to the next slide, Devjyoti? Right. Now, looking at the pulp and paper division. So does geographical expansion make sense for the pulp and paper division? So if we look at the net profit for the pulp and paper division, when we try to expand, we can see that all of the regions have a aggregate negative net profit except for India. So it does not make a lot of sense to expand into these regions. So our suggestion in this regard is to expand our operations in India and prevent expanding in other regions. Can you move to the next slide, Devjyoti? Again, coming to the investment required for this kind of expansion, since the product adoption cycle for pulp and paper division is 4 to 6 months, so we have taken roughly 6 months to be our buffer time. So we can say that the investment required for a year would be the total cost for the year divided by 2 minus the profit that was accrued during the last year. This is the formula that we have used to find the investment, amount, right? The previous assumptions still hold. The manpower cost is considered to be a part of the fixed cost, and the INR USD rate is considered to be 80. So the growth strategy for the paper products division is expanding in India, as foreign expansion is not feasible at this moment, as the aggregate net profit for other regions is in the negative region, is negative. Can we move to the next slide, Devjyoti?
Coming to the consumer products division, we see that the industry is characterized by high competitiveness and it's very fragmented. And we also see large MNCs playing who cater to substitute products which are not necessarily eco-friendly and are chemical-based. And greenwashing is a feature which is prevalent in this market, and people are trying to take advantage of sustainable and environment-friendly characteristics to make profits. And premium is charged for these eco-friendly cleaning products as well. While looking at some of the drivers, we see that growing environmental awareness among the general populace and rising consumer health concerns are driving the shift from chemical-based to eco-friendly products, and also the expanding reach of e-commerce products. So we can sit at home and get these products delivered to our houses at the click of a button. And there is also high untapped potential for this segment. Coming to our growth strategy for the consumer products division, we don't want to venture outside this category. So we don't want to diversify right now, and we want to focus on capturing the market share at the moment. Also, we'd like to increase the number of SKUs offered, both in terms of size variants as well as flavors and aromas in which these products come in. Building brand building is critical for generating sales volume. So we suggest to invest heavily in marketing and promotions during the onset, from the onset as well. And we'd like to push digital as far as possible. So we'd like to create a website and open brand stores on Amazon and Flipkart, and push as much of our product through these channels as possible, through sponsored ads, through buy box wins, etc. And we'd also like to sell through modern retail and organic stores, and through our offline channels in a phased manner. So we don't want to expand throughout the country at one go. So we want to explore one region, kind of build our sales network, our distribution channels in the area, gain expertise, and then want to grow to other regions, other zones in the country. Can we move on to the next slide? So for our 5-year strategy for the offline expansion, in the year 1, 2023, we'd want to expand to the southern cities of Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Kochi, and Vizag, with an outlet count of about 600. We project a negative net profit in the first year, but in the second year, we want to expand to other metro and tier 1 cities throughout the country, as well as expansion in South India itself. So other cities like Trivandrum, Calicut, Vizag, Vijayawada, Tirupati, bigger cities like that. And we want to expand to about 1,000 outlets. And we project a net profit of 0.795 crore. Going further, we want to expand through all urban areas and all urban markets in the country. And we project profits of 7.28 crore in 2025. 20.35 crore in 2026 and 35 crore in 2027. So our first expansion we want to do in the in South Indian urban centers, because lower distribution and operation costs would be managed easily in the initial stages, because we don't have the liquidity position to expand at one go throughout the country. And similar to previous segments, the investment for offline expansion, the cash cycle here is 1 month. So we take the total cost incurred in a year and divide it by 12 minus the profit from the year before to get the investment that we require to pump in for starting this. Can we move on to the next slide? Coming to the online sales, we see that use of quick commerce and e-commerce platforms to attain last mile delivery across India is one of the biggest drivers for getting our product out into the market. And this also requires high spending and advertising budgets for Amazon and Flipkart, along with other quick commerce sites like Big Basket and Grofers. So the growth achievable through these online sales has very high potential and scale. And we'd like to use search engine optimization techniques, keyword targeting, and sponsored ads to win mindshare of our customers, as well as get the best deals out of them. Well, minimum human capital investment is required for this segment because you don't need field people on the ground doing work, and it can be easily scaled. So we bet big on the online front. Similar to the previous one, the cash cycle here is 1 month, and our investment is total cost divided by 12 minus profit from the year before. We can move on, Kushank.
Right. So now we looked at the different investment requirements for the different segments that we will enter. So adding all of them up, we can see that the total investment requirement for our 5-year plan moves from 38 crore in the year 2023 to about 94 crores in the year 2027. We plan to raise this amount of money by diluting the stake of the ESOP and the promoters. So in the year 2023, we plan to sell our stake to financial investors and raise 38 crores. In that year, the ESOP plus promoter stock percentage would be 44%. In the next year, we would raise 53 crores, and the stock percent would fall down to 39%, followed by 51 crores and 37%, and so on and so forth. So this is our basic plan of how to raise money for our investments, for our expansion strategy, right? So if you can move to the next slide, I can show the calculations a bit. Right. So for our calculations, our basic assumptions are that the amount of money that is required for 2023 is raised at the end of the year 2022, and the pre-money valuation at the start of the year is calculated based on the enterprise value by revenue multiple, baselining the year 2022. So if we project the revenue to be some X amount, the baseline year of the 2022 is used to find the enterprise value of that year. Now, when we dilute our stake to financial investors, we sell it at a premium of 30% in the first 2 years, that is 2022 and 2023, and at a premium of 50% for the last 3 years, 24 to 26. The stake of the promoters and ESOP holders fall from 48% in 2022 to around 35% in 2027. Now, why financial investors and why not strategic investors? Since we have a constraint on the limit till which we can drop our stake, that is 35%, it is better to go for financial investors since they want to invest since they have the capability to invest a greater amount of money than strategic investors and pay a higher amount of premium. So we would like to approach financial investors and dilute our stake in a staggered manner, not go for a dilution right at the beginning of our expansion strategy, but we would like to dilute in a staggered manner throughout our 5 years. A basic assumption here is that we would have, the market conditions would be favorable and we would have enough financial investors in the market to sell our stake to. This is our dilution strategy. Can you move on to the next slide? Right. So now looking at the revenue and net profit from our investments, our revenue figures would increase from 60 crores in 2023 to around 483 crores in 2027. And in the first year of our expansion, we would make a loss of around minus 11 crores. But in the subsequent year, we would make a profit of around 22 crores. And we would go on to make a profit of 145 crores at the end of year 2027. Devjyoti, can you go back? So we, according to our calculations, we are not hitting our company objectives. Hence, the objectives that are provided in the case have to be reevaluated and readjusted according to our expansion strategy. Can you move to the next slide, Devjyoti? Right. So so we have come to the end of our presentation. So these are a few questions that were asked in the case. So we have answered almost all of them. So coming to the first question, the objectives that are given in the case are not achievable. They need to be re-evaluated by the board. Coming to the second question, for the textile division, we want to expand to the Pakistan and Turkey market so that we can hedge our markets. Right now, we are exporting to only foreign mills, exporting to mills which supply to foreign countries such as Europe and America, which are recession hit. So it's better we hedge our strategies and export to some other foreign markets. Coming to the third question, yes, we should look at consumer products, as my colleague Varun had already explained that consumer products is an important segment and we want to increase our offerings in that segment. Now, coming to the fourth question, we should go for financial investors as they would provide a higher amount of premium than strategic investors. Coming to the fifth question, the company would like to, company can maximize the stakeholder value by implementing a shareholder strategy wherein the company's enterprise value increases to around 1,200 crores at the end of the fifth year. Right. Thank you.
First of all, my compliments to three of you. I mean, Kushankar, Varun, and Devjyoti. It's a phenomenal work and well structured, well presented, and I like the way you concluded at the end. Summing up all that what is required to be done. It is a fabulous work. I mean, it's a true compliments and it's like I have very, very less questions, but only one question I can ask at this point is, Kushankar, when you said about the expansion strategy to the other countries, you are fairly running through. I mean, if you have to revisit your strategy, if you have to represent this after this, if you have to rework, would you still like to go to other countries you mentioned, or you would like to focus on India itself?
Right. So when expanding to Pakistan and Turkey, the investment budget is quite high. So we can see that the investments required for Pakistan and Turkey expansion to Pakistan and Turkey is increasing progressively. So maybe we can reevaluate and rethink it and see if the numbers come out to be better. Right now we're not hitting our targets. Yeah.
Fantastic. I think fabulous work. I mean, compliments to three of you for a phenomenal work and the way you structured, presented, and I'm thoroughly impressed. And over to Vinayji or Vishwadeepji.
She go ahead.
Yep. Okay, first of all, congratulations. Yes, very well structured presentation, and there's a lot of thoughts that's gone into it. So I like the format, the way you've taken it across also. That was also very nice. Very well, all three of you presented very clearly and confidently. That also is extremely important. So that was good. That gives the board confidence when somebody is presenting very confidently. Yeah. So a couple of things. Yes, overall qualitative strategies, agreeable. Yes, and there are different ways to skin a cat. There is not a one way. So I would go with your qualitative strategies. Some things, I think some things you missed out because I wasn't able to relate your investment numbers. The moment you say that you're not going out of India, there is no investment required. India doesn't require any investment in either in this. Only in case of consumer products and corporate, there is a bit of investment for R&D and for this required. So how do you get so much investment every year is a question, which is because there is a one-time investment figure given that is required, and that is required in the year 1 and year 3. If you are making entry into those countries, but you're not making entry into those countries, so you won't get those investment numbers. So if you don't have those, then that was a confusion which I think that you guys need to somewhere look at. Must have got some confusion there. So one more thing is that what was the company trying to do here? Company is trying to maximize its value at the end of 5 years. Why? Because possibly the company is looking at an exit. I mean, the shareholders are looking at an exit, or else they are looking at through an IPO, going IPO, right? So if you really look at it, what would bring in the maximum value today is that trying to achieve the maximum top line with a reasonable bottom line. Because what happens at this point in time, and these are sustainable companies, we said we are an initial stage company. Here, EBITDA is not the criteria, because EBITDA becomes a criteria when you are already established and there is no further big growth trying to come, and then you take EBITDA as the EBITDA multiples. In companies which are into new technology, IPs, you take top line as their multiples of top line. So therefore, getting the top line would have been a very, very important aspect. And so if you look at it, if you revisit with that, you would find that in each of those, there are some which are no-no, like China, then there is Europe and the Americas, they are no-no. But the others, there is first year that you make losses and there is investment still there. Second year, yes, somewhere. By third year, you start getting positive. And they will add a lot to the revenues by the end of fifth year. So if you looked at the objective clearly, you would find that by third, fourth year, you should be running high on revenues, and you would have ended up at about 800 crores of revenues by end of the year. By end of 2017. Therefore, your value that you would have delivered to the shareholders would be much, much higher. So that is one way. But I'm not saying that it's that easy to crack that. But you guys have thought well. Only thing I think you all got confused about the investment required, which maybe you all can explain if you all have some logic on that. But that's what I felt. Otherwise, a very good presentation, very clearly made. Even the work was done well. Just one more tip here, and more of a tip, is that when you're doing something, it's always very good to bring all the calculations into one small table as a summary at the later of it, where you can see. So what was it required? It was required to do each vertical. What is the turnover that is going to come? What is the GPs that you're going to generate? Gross profit that you're going to do. What is the fixed cost, and therefore what is the net cash surplus you're generating? Add to that the investments required to get these. You get that. So you'll get the net cash flows. So if you did that, you will see that your max cash requirement is only 90 crores. And that happens in the year 2. After which your profits and revenues that you're generating will actually reduce your requirement to no more requirement is there on investment. You have to invest only there, and the rest of it is taken care of by your profits which come from your business. So the peak requirement is only 93 crores, and that you can do. You are right. You don't have to do it in 1 year. You split it into 2 parts and do it. So you require investment raise only in the first and second year. You don't need to raise any investment after that, third and fourth year. And you can dilute it, and you're right. You can dilute it even not even 35%, is about 38%. You are managing to get your revenues. If you go by the same multiples, I mean, what they got in the previous year, if you get with the same multiples or even slightly lower multiples, you make it. So I'm giving so much of advice, not because there are issues, because I like your presentation so much that I'm happy to provide you with a little bit more input. So I'm very, very happy with your presentation. Well done, and all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback, sir. I just want to answer that
Yes.
the investment part.
Yes.
So what our thought process was that for the first year we don't have any money on hand. So even for running our operations, we need at least 4 months is our time from contact to sale. So for those 4 months we need to run our factory. So we thought that the cost for the whole year divided by 4 is the amount of investment that should be made before cash starts coming in and we can run operations. So we thought that amount of money should be in our pockets before we start operating. So the cost for the whole year divided by 4 is plus the the one-time setup cost is what we took to be the investment.
Okay.
That was our logic, sir.
Okay. So it won't be exactly cost divided by 4, because you can take that. So that is one time. Then after that, you don't need it. Okay. So
yes, once you start making profit, you don't need it, sir.
You don't need it. So what really happens is that would have made your first 2 years, instead of that 30 crores and 50 crores, it would have made it into, say, 40 crores, 40 crores. So it may be, instead of 80 crores, it put 90, 100 crores. That's all, even if you consider that. After that, you don't require, because that's the peak. After that, you won't require. So because you are showing in the 5th year also, you are showing 98 crores of investment required. So that's where I was slightly confused. So if you add up the total investment, it's some 400 crores plus of investment, which is not required. You don't need to raise 400 crores. You just need to raise about 70, 80 crores, but maybe with your calculation, about 100 crores.
Right.
Okay. Vinay, up to over to you.
Good presentation, team. I like the way you drill down to the specifics that the case asked for, and you came back to the 5 points and specifically answered each and every one of them, but saying that the financial objectives won't be met, and then you tossed up between a strategic and a financial investor and said, okay, go for a financial investor. I think overall a very good presentation, and as Vishwadeep, our case set always says, go where the case facts. It's all there in the case, and so I'm glad you read it thoroughly and stuck to the specifics that the case asked for. So I don't really have any questions, but that was just my comment. And good teamwork also. Each of you took different aspects of the case and sliced it through. So altogether, a good job done. So looks like you guys have come into B school with a lot of work ex, right? Is that right?
A little bit, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That shows. So you guys have been able to understand how businesses work. So that's a good thing. It's important.
In fact, Kushankar and Devjyoti also won our other case contest we run online with High Design as a sponsor, right? Right, guys?
Okay.
Yes,
Good,
sir.
good.
Which IBS sets for us, and that I hope you got your prize vouchers. Okay.
Yes, sir. We did.
Yes, sir. We did, sir. Thank you so much for the opportunity, sir.
So did you go shopping as yet?
Sir, I gifted the voucher to my mom. She'll buy something.
That's so
Wow.
sweet. That's really nice.
That's a High Design voucher, so she'll go.
Very nice, very nice.
Very thoughtful of you, Kushankar.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. All the best.
Good.
All the best, team. Fantastic work.
All
the best.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you.
You may
Thank you, sir.
unshare and log off now. Yeah.
Thank you, Team 2. We have another special education AB from Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund.
Benefits of SIP, STP, SWP. Win with SIP. This is Sid. He recently started working and wishes to invest his money in the stock markets. But his salary isn't much and he has only a small sum of money left to invest every month. While he was contemplating on what he could do, his elder sister Reena came to his rescue. An avid investor herself, Reena introduced him to the magic trio of SIP, STP, SWP.
Don't worry, you don't really need a large amount to start investing. You can invest as little as 500 rupees weekly, monthly or quarterly using SIP, that is Systematic Investment Plan in mutual funds. And before you wonder how it could help, let me tell you, a SIP has many advantages. 1. It lets you start small. And when you invest every month, you average your purchasing cost. So, you needn't worry about timing the market. For example, let's assume you invest 500 rupees every month. Given the market volatility, the cost of purchasing a unit of a mutual fund will change every month. Say, in the first month, you may get 40 units for 500 rupees. In the second month, you may also get 25 units for the same amount and perhaps more in the next month, say 45 units. This difference in price averages out over time, giving you the best possible price per unit over time. 2. You not only make your money work, you also make time work in your favor by starting to invest sooner than later. 3. You also benefit from the power of compounding by reinvesting the profits earned from your investments in mutual funds. Let me explain. Suppose you invest 500 rupees per month for a year. In 12 months, you will have invested 6,000 rupees. Let's assume your money grows at 8% during the year. So, your investments will be worth 6,480 rupees at the end of year 1. Now, if you leave the entire amount invested in the fund and continue with your SIP, by the end of the second year, your investment would be 12,480 rupees. That is 6,480 rupees plus 6,000 rupees. But given the 8% returns, you would have earned a profit of 998.4 rupees. And this amount will continue to compound as long as you stay invested.
This is quite enlightening. But sis, I have a doubt. When I get a bonus at the end of the year, how do I invest it? I don't want to take the risk of timing the market.
I'm glad you are catching on, Sid. You just need to be smart with your investments. You can park your bonus in a low-risk debt or liquid fund initially, and then set up a STP, that is a systematic transfer plan, which will transfer fixed amounts from this scheme to other debt and equity schemes regularly and give you all the advantages of a SIP. So you don't have to worry about timing the market. And while the SIPs happen, your money isn't lying idle in your bank. It is earning interest in debt or liquid fund. And just like a SIP, STP allows you to set the duration of your investment period. For example, if you get a 50,000 bonus, you can choose to invest 5,000 in a single scheme or 1,000 in 5 different schemes over the next 10 months. You can make this choice based on what goal you wish to achieve.
You have a solution for everything. I have one more question though. I can keep my investments going every month, but how can I withdraw, say after 10 years, without the hassle of timing the markets?
Well, Sid, this one is easy too. Let's assume you are investing for your retirement funds. Once you retire, you can turn your SIP into a SWP, that is, a systematic withdrawal plan, and get a fixed income at regular intervals. So if you need 25,000 rupees per month to meet your expenses, you can set up the SWP to deposit 25,000 rupees into your bank account every month or 75,000 rupees every quarter. SWP gives you the flexibility to choose. A SWP not only aims to give you protection against market volatility, it keeps your money working for you. So, you see, when you SIP, STP or SWP, you aim to win on multiple levels, today as well as tomorrow.
An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
I invite Team 3 to present their case solution.
Hello everyone, welcome on board, and firstly a warm welcome to everyone for this much awaited board meeting of our very beloved company EVP Envirotech Private Limited. All right, so coming on to the agenda of the meeting, firstly, as we all know about the current situations, we finally broke even, and now looking forward to our valuation and the road ahead. So we would likely to entertain these following points. Firstly, what's going on in the company, followed by as the case as for the objectives, talking about objectives of the company, which our consultants have provided for us. Is there right? Is there wrong? The expansion plan, again, the debate over B2B and B2C, the fundraising plan, essentially talking about the financials versus the strategics, and the roadmap followed by it. So yeah, firstly, as we all know about a Shilp textile vertical, we named it as Shilp, and yeah, finally our efforts are paying off. The top line is around 15 plus crores. And yeah, talking about strengths, like we had a best year recently, 10 to 15, the jump of 10 crores to 15 crores, business scaling up and whatnot. The only problem over here which we see is the macroeconomic issue, recession, given that our primary consumer segment is Europe and America, and we all know about the inflation and rising macroeconomic tensions. There is some friction that we might face in growing up this business. So as of now, the current scenario is sort of bearish for us in the sector, while we still expect the market to grow at a growth rate of 7.6 odd percentage. So yeah, over here, we need to make decisions about whether to go into, invest globally and in other geographies, or let's say continue in India, and in what types of verticals of the whole value chain. So yes, Cora, would you like to take up, Cora, Shekhar?
Yeah, thank you, Anuj. So as we named our three verticals, the second vertical, the major one is Cora, which is handling the paper and the pulp business of ETPL. Currently, we are performing pretty well in the segment. The top line is of around 13 plus crores. It has grown rapidly, starting from and back in 2018. It has shown very good results. Our primary strength is in our top line only. We play in large numbers, and I mean the products that we are serving to this industry are primarily new and not the drop-in products. That's why it is showing us it is working as a USP for us and working in our favor. However, there is a weakness related to the major thing is that we have almost exhausted around 25% of our products offering in this particular industry, and owing to the large fixed cost, and there is this adoption cycle of 5 to 6 months in this industry. So once they have to test the whole the product and then see whether it is performing or not, and on that basis they are responding. So this somewhat leads to a lot of difference in time, and there's a lag in between. So this is a sort of a challenge for us, and the next opportunity that lies here is that the we have not explored the whole value chain as of now. And also there is this option, though we have to, whether it's, we'll be discussing about it, whether to explore or not. There is this good option of we can, once we solidify into this segment domestically, we can just foray into the international business as well. And finally, discussing about the challenges ahead. So this industry is actually growing at a relatively slower pace. I mean, the whole industry as sort. And there are majorly in the 4 segments that we talked about in this industry, we are currently serving in 2 segments as of now, primarily. Yeah. Yeah, Anuj, over to you.
All right, and here comes a game changer, the Pro Earth, our consumer product. So as of now, we have just realized around 6 lakhs per month of revenue last year. And so, yeah, this is I think the chicken neck sort of thing for our company. So basically it is now up to us whether to, decide and has to make a decision on this Pro Earth segment. So what we see over here is firstly, the valuation part of it. Our transition from B2B to B2C is essentially about Pro Earth, that we want to create a brand equity. Do we, or do we not, is a question over here. And secondly, what our shareholders want exactly, and how much, how we structure our capital structure is something that these questions will be entertained from our decision that being made on this vertical. So talking about strengths, as you can read, we are very much stabilized, sort of organized. We are approaching this whole sector in a very organized manner. Talking about weakness, again, it's an uncertainty, as we have picked experts for textile as well as for paper. We don't really have much of expertise in this sector right now. So yeah, this is currently our weakness. Second, the opportunity over here, as I've talked about, is about brand equity. And lastly, the major threat is the threat of competition. And with respect to B2B, where in paper we are seeing a 10% market share in 2027, and even in a 9% of market share in textile in 2027, we still are skeptical about our overall market share because of the competitiveness of such industries going forward. So yeah, coming on to objectives of the meeting, like, or rather, as the objectives we have received in the case, which talks about 1,200 of as a top line figure in 2027, and the other projections given for the Pro Earth vertical. What we think about the same is it is little overquoted. We did our calculations and projected these numbers year on year with a growth rate of 7.8%. Took recession into consideration, kept the growth rate constant for a while, and then increased it with 100 basis points in the years forward. Eventually, we came up with a top line of around 500 crores. That is very much achievable in the by the end of 2027. So yeah, given that no other constraints being changed over here. Secondly, yeah, as the second point talks about, that the BU for consumer goods states that our business growth finally yielding same EBITDA as that of cash cows and the end of the 5th year. So basically, the consumer goods segment is we are expanding in offline as well as online, and despite that, the top line isn't is just reaching the point where textile and paper ends up. Like the figures are coming out as 130 crores, 180 crores, and 130 crores. So for textile, paper, and consumer respectively. So we think that the last figure of consumer goods can be increased more uh, with the help of promotions and aggressive marketing strategy, and and creating a brand equity, which will essentially give us a better number to achieve higher top lines. So yes, as of talking about numbers, these were the numbers that we came up with. That total revenue sums up to around 450 odd crores, taking into consideration the recession growth, the growth that being hampered due to recession in the textile revenue, uh, and yeah, keeping all the others constraints same. One more thing that we found, or rather that we modulated over here, is the gross profit margin. What in the case being given is 50, for let's say for the textile part, 50, 55, 55, followed and kept on declining to 42, 40s, and so on. We believe that we can achieve economies of scale over here, and thus can reduce our variable cost to a significant extent. So we took that into consideration and modulated those numbers to around 50% of gross margin itself. That being said, we did the same for both paper vertical as well as textile vertical, because we are already into this business for 8 odd years, and yeah, we see achieving, or at least we want to target economies of scale, and thus would work efficiently on our gross profit margins. So yeah, talking about B2B versus B2C, as we all know that the valuation that we make into B2C, or the revenue that we'll generate, will give us a 3x valuation as a whole. So all right, so let me skip this, and I'll sort of put my point straightforward over here. That being said, what we believe right now in terms of entertaining valuation is that we can't lower down our valuation by 20% and go to strategics as of now. We believe in ourselves, and given that we just achieve a break even, I think all our infra are in place, especially for textile and pulp, that we see ourselves growing in Indian market. Again, even the case says and the number says that we need not foray into international markets as of now, and thus we believe that we can't hamper our valuation. We seek higher valuation so that our current investors can exit at a better price, so that we can get more money, we can raise more money. Secondly, secondly, why do we want more higher valuation and thus higher money is to invest into R&D. Why do we want to invest into R&D? Firstly, for paper, we can easily see that there are two verticals of the value chain which in which we don't have a presence. There's a high requirement of R&D, so that we can make a mark into that and capture a much larger size of that industry. So yeah, that was the first major rationale about it. Secondly, that yes, the infrastructure are well in place to do well in textile and paper. Elaborating on the same, as you talk about valuation part of it. So here's the 5-year plan that we have came up with. Starting with 2023, given that we have macroeconomic cues that the world might struggle, we want to raise good money as of now, and thus invest into consumer goods segment, tap the Indian market. Indian market is at all-time high. Indian economy is doing well, and we believe that yes, the consumer goods can give us good profits, good top line, and again, it's a scalable advent. That being said, it has the highest growth rate from 2025, 26, 27 as compared to textile and pulp. So yes, as of now, in the very near term, we want to focus on consumer goods by raising higher funds, that which will be achieved if we have a good valuation. Secondly, as the case raises the question of strategics coming up with their expertise, their assistance for us to provide into global markets, as well as a good strategy to penetrate into the consumer goods. I think the way we tackled the situation before, using the industry, getting the industry experts on board for textile and paper, I think similar strategies can be adopted for the consumer goods, and we need not to go for the strategic as of now and reducing our valuation. Thus, what we propose is raising funds at a higher valuation, giving exits to our previous stakeholders, and yes, investing them into R&D for paper as well as into the consumer goods. 2024, building upon the same what I've just said, and achieving economies of scale is one of the priority over it. Holding on to our ESOPs as we believe in our strengths. I think given that the stakeholder and shareholder principal agent conflict, I think that we as managers and as a board of directors believe in the infrastructure of the company, the human resource of the company, and yes, we can achieve greater heights with the same expertise. Followed by that, coming on to 2025, as the case talk about higher investing into R&D by the year 2026, we want to sort of prepone it. We want to invest it now so that we can get more scalable results in the paper industry in the coming years. So yeah, depending on macroeconomic trends, we would look to entertain the finishing part of the value chain of the
time
textile.
is up, jury members.
Just wrap up your case. Finish your presentation.
Yeah, sure. So the last 3 years, as we're talking about, the textile industry, we were missing a whole lot of market growth in the finishing part of the textile industry. I think that would be the right time when we get a good cues from the macroeconomic part of the area, that we can transit ourselves into the global market as well as into the different verticals of the textile industry. That being said, to do that, we will need some support from the strategics, and there we see ourselves dissolving some of our ESOPs to get strategics on board. And yeah, that is essentially what we are proposing as of now. So Shekhar, anything you want to add? And then you can end.
I think Anuj, you have well presented the views of our group, and so yeah, we can go ahead with the jury now.
You can unshare your screen. Yeah. Thanks, Anuj and Shekhar. I mean, yeah, it is like, looks like I was sitting in some shareholders meet and somebody is speaking on the board, and I am in a lot of global economy, and hope you have gone through the case study. I mean, the first paragraph of the case study, Vishwa sir has written is, you are a strategy consultant, not part of the board. If your consultant approach you need to redo, what are the 3 or 4 things expected from this case? Can I understand from you? There are 5 questions which are expected from this case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So firstly, just to re-clarify, we have received a mail in which they said that you have to assume the seats of CXO and address the board. So I think that was something that we took.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was the whole rationale behind the same.
Yeah,
No problem.
Yeah.
Good. You have enacted well. Yeah. Now, what are the 5 things expected from this case from you?
Yeah, so the first question was the objectives that were stated. Were these even correct, and were they even rightly projected? Secondly was the B2B versus B2C debate. Why do they even want to go into the consumer segment of it? Thirdly, it talks about this expansion into international markets versus considering India as the geography, as a primary target of. talking about fourth is the debate between strategics and the financing, like the VCs and angel investors that we have currently on board. And lastly, that how to maximize the value for the shareholders, and talking about ESOPs and how much can we dilute our stakeholding.
Excellent, Anuj, for the recall. And I have seen your presentation on the dilution piece too. And it's coming on the first question you said about the objectives. I mean, looking at EBITDA, which is mentioned there, do you feel now, since you have also taken a board level enacting, is this is possible that you can accomplish given the numbers?
No, exactly what I've said, that given the numbers, I think it's difficult. It is like the top line that being stated there, 700, then 1200. Those numbers, given that we just got a break even and our top line is 50 as of now. So 5 years, 50 to 1200, it's what, 200 CAGR or something, 200% CAGR. So I think that is a very superficial number. I don't know. That is my whole rationale behind it. That yeah, I might
Good,
be
I
wrong.
appreciate. Yeah, but appreciate the honesty of that, and it's a good one. And coming back, you are also talking about the expansion piece, which you mentioned a while ago. I mean, whether to stay in India. What is that your suggestion, or what is your solution for it?
So as the case clearly explains that we can't enter into foreign markets for paper. Why? Because we don't have enough R&D and enough new unique products to enter into those international markets. So, and talking about textile, as we have went through the data, there's only one market, which is primarily Pakistan and Turkey, which are yielding good results. Like considering the EBITDA, there were positive cash flows in the future from that market itself, and not any other. There was this Bangladesh, which was coming in the second priority after Pakistan and Turkey as our international. So again, why not to enter is because we need some expertise from strategics, and our whole rationale of saying this is we are not going to the strategy as of now. So yeah, in textile we can't, and in paper we need R&D, and then only we can enter. So and consumer doesn't talk about the international market. So
also adding on top of to that, so primarily there is this thing that in textiles we do not have a product that is much differentiated, and also the problem is that the companies are not willing to pay more if you for that sake, for the sustainability and the environmental piece. That's why we had to explore the international markets. In these particular cases, whether we take as the pulp and paper industry, or for that say consumer goods as well, the domestic markets are already pretty big. For the textile, for this pulp and paper, since we have launched it like 3 years back, and we are still wanting to get our strong foothold, and then only we can approach the external industries as well in the international markets to show that these are our results, and we can venture out into this space. So, and definitely, as we have discussed in the case as well, the consumer goods is pretty good market in India itself. So first tapping it is a better option than going and investing in the external markets.
Thanks, Shekhar, for that answer, and over to Vishwa, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Raza. So yeah, so I think as Rao also mentioned that you've done a lot of thinking behind as to what we could do, so you've come up with some answers with some amount of numerical working also, especially when it comes to what should be the turnover. But what I look at it that there was so much of information given that you could have actually gone much deeper to understand whether the objective is not achievable is okay, but what is the maximum achievable? Here, what is it that the company is looking at? Company is saying, hey, I want to, it's never mentioned in any of that I want to maximize profit, right? What does it say? It says, I want to maximize shareholder value.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you maximize shareholder value? Because today also they are getting a multiple of their top line, not EBITDA multiple. Otherwise, they're just turned EBITDA positive. How will they get 250 crores valuation if they? Because it's a IP company which has IP, which has got certain early stage company. So therefore, you don't get EBITDA multiples, but you get top line multiple. So you could have looked at where to invest. I mean, maximize how much money to raise. You're saying we want to raise money. We will go to, not strategic, but financial. Fine. But how much? How much money should you raise? For what purpose? Where? Okay, China is bad. It is always negative. Pakistan, Bangladesh is better. But Vietnam, Cambodia start performing from year 3. They start adding value. So should I invest? Should I invest 2 years? Because what am I looking at? At 2027, I want to maximize, which means it's a hint that possibly the investors or the shareholders want to exit at that point in time, or they want to go an IPO or do something, right? So you have to maximize at that point, 2027. You have to take 2027 and maximize. So this is a journey to 2027.
Right.
Okay. So we've not talked about giving dividends or none of those that the investors are interested in. So in my field, you needed to do a lot more numbers, go deeper into it, look at what is the cash flow requirement, what is the surplus cash you're generating, so how much you can invest. And if you have surplus, then you start investing in other countries also. So ideally, you will have to enter 2-3 more countries, both in textile as well as in paper. Well, we said that it is, that's why we are not taking that huge leap in paper, because we are still trying out. But otherwise, the kind of growth that we have seen in India, we should be seeing the same growth outside also. We are taking a very slow growth because we are still experimenting with it. So if you do that, you would reach upward of 800 crores. You will not still reach 1200 crores. I know that, but you will still reach upward of 700 to 800 crores. And therefore, the value that you can deliver to the shareholders is
right. So
double.
Yeah, that was the whole rationale behind saying that we can foray towards strategics by 2025-26, because by the 3rd year, most of the countries started yielding positive cash flows.
Yes.
So yeah, that.
Yeah, but then it won't be 400
much?
crores. Then it will your end revenue will not be 400 crores. If
Indeed.
you foray, then it will go up to 700, 800 crores.
Right.
So, Vishwadeep sir, one question here. There was this data given about the consumer goods projection from 23 to 27.
Right.
So, since the 22 or maybe 21, when the product was launched initially in mid of the year, there was given that it had somewhere around 6 lakhs of sales per month. Apart from that, do we have? I mean, we were not able to see any sort of data through which we can explore whether this particular segment will be performing well or not. In that case, shall we benchmark or from the external industry, or like how should we approach to that particular?
You didn't have to. I had given the entire data to you. What is the share increase and how much it is growing to? I given the full data to you.
No.
You didn't have
to. So what exactly my point was that this particular data has been given by the business unit heads, right? This projection, and this question was there that is it achievable or is it a very ambitious thing? So for that we might have to check whether
Okay. So what you do therefore is there is a certain thing which is given by that. So they have some basis for it. So all you have to do therefore is either agree with that, say, by putting the external conditions, you agree with it, or you put a discounting factor to it, say, okay, I would like to discount it by 20% or discount by 10% because, I believe this is, a little steep. So that's all it got. It has given very clearly how many cities, how many outlets they will start covering, and therefore this would. They have given a certain thing. So if you go out also, what information will you get? You will have to depend on the salespeople's information.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you can use a judgment and say, okay, I'm okay with this. We feel it is achievable, given that sustainable products are picking up, so they should be able to pick this up. Maybe there is doubts in textile, maybe there's doubts in paper, but consumer will pick up. I mean, whatever. So those assumptions you can take and go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Vinay?
Good. So Shekhar is Anuj, one of the most genial guys on campus. He looks like a very genial guy.
Thank you.
So also, Shekhar, I think you just going off at a tangent now, but you heard the expression "clothes maketh the man." So I know there's a contest, there's a case contest and all that, but we are supposed to be the board. So round necks and a jacket doesn't cut it for a case presentation. I mean, smart casual would have been fine, or most of the case presenters from other B schools have been coming in a jacket and tie. And of course, we had to tick off one guy who came in a t-shirt. So just a point, but no negative marks, but I'm just pointing out that.
Yeah.
I'll take a note of. Thank you, sir.
Right. Yeah, your presentation was good. I think kind of understood the case, but like Vishy says, needed to massage the numbers a little more and come up with some of the solutions that he had sought in the case. Otherwise, a good work by both of you. No, don't really have any questions here. So good. So all the best to both of you in your careers. So have you joined B school with some work ex? I mean, a standard question we're asking all the B schoolers.
Yeah, we both have worked before.
What area did you work in?
So I worked at Future First as a trader for the past 4 years.
Oh, okay. And Shekhar?
So when I said I had initial work ex in Vedanta for around 1.5 years, then I started my own company and a tech firm. And before joining the MBA, I was working as a business analyst in Udaan.
Udaan, okay. Okay, great. All the best, guys.
All the best.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
You may log off now. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Team 3. We have a special educational AV from Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund.
Nivesh Fables presents Choose Your Advisor Wisely.
There were two rabbits. Willy was the wise one and Fred was not so wise. They were walking through a field and came upon 2 carrots. Fred excitedly rushed and picked up a carrot, but it was smaller than it looked. He was confused, so Willy said, "Judging a carrot by its leaves is not the right way." After walking for some time, they came across another set of carrots. This time, Willy chose the carrot first. Fred thought, "How come the carrot with smaller leaves is small?" Willy replied, "I do not judge a carrot by its leaves." For the 3rd time, they found 2 carrots again. Willy pulled out 1 carrot and offered it to his friend. Fred was still confused and said, "I don't know how you do it, but I guess you're just smarter than me." "Fred, I may have the wisdom, but I share it with others and help them benefit from it too. You're my friend, you trust me, and I want you to have this carrot." In real life, while making investment decisions, don't we all look for an advisor like Willy, who wouldn't just look at the leaves superfluously, but analyze, inspect, understand the investments thoroughly, and suggest the right one for us? Someone who we can trust our hard-earned money with. As they say, if you look for a financial advisor, look for someone with the heart of a teacher and the soul of a friend. Have you found yours? An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
We will now have the comments for each team's presentation, followed by announcement of the winners for today's round.
Today's teams, I think all the 3 teams worked on and understood the case pretty well. Some of them did go beyond their qualitative analysis and went deep into numbers, and therefore were able to exactly with confidence project as to what the company should be doing and how much they can achieve in the next 5 years. Good to see the clarity that all the teams had in a complex case, which is not just about projecting some sales numbers, but thinking on various angles, including, financials, including fundraise, everything. Very interesting, and one of the teams actually did very well to nail the numbers and go right up to the end in analysis. So very happy. I mean, personally, very happy to see such responses and such analysis coming out for a case which is slightly complex. So very happy about that.
Thanks, Vishy. So yeah, today's Kolkata round showed that the teams were had a good understanding of the case and came up with good presentations. But I think Team 2 showed that it was not just about good presentation, but also delving deep into the numbers and coming up with their analysis. And they made recommendations, and I like the way they came back finally to the 5 questions that the case posed, and tackled each one of them and gave very, very specific answers. And it showed that they would emerge as the winners. But not to take away from the other 2 teams also, they did a good job. So all the best to the teams for today. And then we move on to the last round at Pune tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks once again. Thanks for this opportunity to be here as a jury. I thank Vinay and the team Hindu for being it. And Vishwa sir, such a complicated case, but glad to see the teams are known for cracking it and spending some time. I'm glad today all the 3 teams, they made a great attempt to understanding the case. Probably every one of them have understood the case very rightly. The team which has done exceptionally good, or the first among the equals, is the one who went the analysis of the case in detail and decoding the solution reasonably right, and also making that presentation not only impactful but giving the last mile connect, like fine tuning, and what is that jury is anticipating out of this, and the presenting it. And good to see all the 3 of them have done well. But as Vinayji was mentioning about the team 2, which has done exceptionally good. Wishing other 2 teams all the good luck, and team 2 is the winner for the day, and team 2 is happen to be XLRI and Fabulous, and wishing them all the good luck for their finals. And it is really enriching to see each of them come well prepared, and glad to be part to understand. I mean, it's always something to understand very differently from each of these case presentations.
Thank you for watching. This is Businessline on Campus Boardroom Challenge 2022.